ॐ यो देव सवितास्माकं धियो धर्मादिगोचराः प्रेरयेत्तस्य यद्भर्गः तद्वरेण्यम् उपास्महे। सह वीर्यङ्करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ओम शांति शांति शांति। ओम सदाशिवसमारंभां शंकराचार्य मध्यमाम् अस्मदाचार्य पर्यन्तां वन्दे गुरुपरम्पराम्। ओम श्री गुरुभ्यो नमः। हरि ओम। पार्थाय प्रतिबोधितां भगवता नारायणेन स्वयं व्यासेन ग्रथितां पुराणमुनिना मध्ये महाभारतम् अद्वैतामृतवर्षिणीं भगवतीमष्टादशाध्यायिनीम् अम्ब त्वामनुसन्दधामि भगवद्गीते भवद्वेषिणीम्। ॐ वसुदेवसुतं देवं कंसचाणूरमर्दनं देवकी परमानन्दं कृष्णं वन्दे जगद्गुरुम्। Okay, we continue our discussion of the fourth chapter of Bhagavad Gita. We are in a very important part of the fourth chapter, which is talking about the four varnas, the four classes of people in the human beings. It says that the four varnas are created by Ishvara, directly created from Ishvara. So the caste system, as it is popularly called, is not a creation of the Hindu clergy as part of the dogma to control the society, like how it has been portrayed in Wikipedia and encyclopedia and whatever. So it is not like that. How we understand and what is the esoterics behind it and how it is Varnashrama Dharma. So when we understand Dharma, as we know, is something to be understood. So Dharma is something to be understood means Dharma is given, like physics. It is part of the structure of life. It is a functional reality. Just like it's like ethics. Ethics is not seen, but ethics is to be respected. It is not, nobody tells you to do this and do that, but it is inferred from common sense. So if the ethics is respected, you are able to enjoy peaceful and a sensible and a more harmonious life. In the same way, ethics is one aspect of Dharma. So we have a lot of Dharma. Dharma of a given situation is the way things are. And the way, if the things are, everything will be fine. The way the things should be, if you want stability, prosperity, harmony, growth, etc. So that is the whole approach of Dharma. Dharma is a principle. If you uphold Dharma, Dharma upholds you in return. Dharma protects you in return. Dharmo rakshati rakshitaha. Dharma protects the one who protects Dharma. So this is the logic. So it is only a law. Dharma is a law of life. It is like the laws of physics, the laws of life, not the laws of encoded laws. It is the given law, which is part of the reality of the fabric of life. We will go into that. Is verse number 13, 1-3. Chaturvarnyam maya srishtam gunakarma vibhagashah tasya kartaram api mam vidya kartaram avyayam. The fourfold grouping of people, a division based on the duties and the qualities, was created by me. Here me means Ishvara. The original intelligence from which everything proceeded, the creative intelligence of this universe, was created by me. Even though I am its author, know me to be the non-doer, ever changeless. Before we go into the discussion on the Varna system, we will see the reason. There are 2 points given here. He says, I am the one who created the four classes, the human beings according to the four classes. Okay, Chaturvarne Maya system. I created the human beings according to the four classes based on the qualities and work. It is not qualities or work. This qualities and work. This is one point. That means the quality and the actions that are in keeping with the quality go together in each class of people. There are four classes of people: Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya, Shudra. Four classes of people. Each one, these four classes are divided on the dominance or the subservience of one or the other qualities. You have the three qualities in nature. Do you remember what are the three qualities in nature? Sattva, Rajas, Tamas. Remember the three qualities. The serene temperament, the passionate and the aggressive temperament, action-oriented temperament, and you have the lazy, ignorant, non-willing, inertia temperament. Basically the three temperaments, Sattva, Rajas and Tamas. So the four classes are based on this. The first class, Brahmana, are those who are predominantly sattvic. So their fundamental quality is sattva and their actions also come based on sattva. Sattva dominates every sphere of activity. So sattva being of the nature of knowledge, the job of these people is shamadamadi, sense control, mind control, etc. and a disciplined way of life combined with study, contemplation, teaching. They say as Swadhyaya Pravachana. This is their job. Shamadama and Swadhyaya Pravachana. Keeping their sense faculties under control, keeping their mind and the faculties of perception under conscious control, living consciously, and devoting their entire life for the study and understanding of the functional aspects of life, esoteric aspects of life, and the supreme truth, being always grounded in the supreme truth. Taking care of the knowledge aspect of life and disseminating the knowledge as it is, helping the people to grasp the knowledge as it is, as required for each one's occasion. So, taking the knowledge to the people is the job of the Brahmana. Because he is sattva predominant. Only a sattva predominant person will be true and objective to the truth of things. A very important job of a person who is a teacher should be predominantly sattvic. If the person is rajasic or tamasic, the teaching gets colored with subjectivity. That is why the lifestyle is very, very strictly regulated for a Brahmana. The punishments are also much, much severe to a Brahmana than to a one who is not a Brahmana. So what you are expected to be is like a privilege comes with a price, they say, like that. Then the second category, who is a Kshatriya. Kshatriya is a person like a cavalier. The cavalier is predominantly rajasic, but the rajas is driven by sattva. When rajas subordinates sattva, means rajas is in the forefront and sattva is working under the guidance of rajas. So sattva is working for rajas. So my motivation for anything is personal, passion and aggression, and I use the knowledge for my aggression and passion. That is a Kshatriya. So if a Kshatriya is a person who is blindly holding on to ego, principles and things like this, which is necessary. And this person, what is his job? His job is to develop the qualities of strength, valor, power, the shining of the mind and the shining of the faculties, and effulgence, and ability to control and the ability to administer, and practicing the virtues of. So these two people are supposed to be selfless and take care of the rest of the society. Then you have the third category, who is predominantly rajas, but the rajas is subordinated by tamas. So who is the driver of the rajas is tamas. For a Kshatriya, sattva is the driver of the passion. Knowledge drives the passion. For a Vaishya, who is a businessman or entrepreneur, the wealth creator, for him or her, the driver is tamas. Tamas means comfort, inertia, security, and indulgence, pleasure. These are the things that drives this indulgence, pleasure in the sense it is more based on ignorance. It is more in the sense the knowledge is clouded much more, and the person's actions come basically from the sense of being comfortable in one's own zone. This is tamas. Me, mine. So the me and mine, the possession, that becomes more. So the tamasic person is more possession oriented. So the rajas. So when tamas is subordinated and rajas is working on top of tamas, the person will be very active based on egoistic possessiveness. In the same time, when rajas is predominant but works under the guidance of sattva, the person works for the welfare of everybody. Missionary. This missionary zeal is basically kshatriya. It's a kshatriya whose kshatriya quality shining in a. So a brahmana, a brahmin or a sannyasi is shuddha sattva. That is why in India you will never see in any traditional structure in Hinduism, you will never see a holy man, a priest or a sannyasi being a missionary. Such a concept never existed in history. Because of the notoriety of the missionaries from the West, Swami Chinmayananda created missionaries. Chinmaya mission he created because it was a necessity of the day. The Kshatriya spirit was put into it. Vivekananda, Ramakrishna mission. Vivekananda was a Kshatriya. Swami Vivekananda was a born Kshatriya who became a Swamiji. So he was like a Raja Rishi. So he brought the Kshatriya spirit into it. Lord Buddha was a Kshatriya. That is why Buddhist missionaries, he said, bhikkhus go to the 8 directions and spread the Dharma. No Brahmin sannyasi or a Brahmin priest has ever said this in the entire history of Hinduism. Of millenniums of history, nobody has said this because sattva is very objective. You are not driven by passion. The passion is to be carried over and supported by knowledge. Missionary work is the job of the kings and the Kshatriyas. That is not the job of the Brahmanas. And the Brahmanas never did that. So they kept to their work. So don't try to do what is not your dharma. Paradharmo, bhayavaha. The dharma of another person is fraught with danger. So don't try to act according to somebody else's dharma. May you act according to your own dharma, if you remember. No? Okay, then that is Vaishya. Then the fourth class is predominantly tamas. Tamas is on the top. Rajas is there in the back. So tamas, once in a while, it uses rajas for its own sake. So if you threaten the security of that person, the fellow will move and do something. So it is more like an animal, instinctive person. Prakrita Purushaha. It's a Shudra. That person is called Shudra. And this person, what is the job for this person? Is supposed to serve the other three. Any of the other 3 categories of people, he is supposed to serve them. Be at the, like a running errands and be at the beck and call and serve them so that they don't make decisions. But they does not, now this is not an economic classification, it is a dharmic classification. Now, we will go into the details of it after we take the second part of this shloka. So, I created the fourfold classification. Now, the second part, where the Lord is saying, even if I am the creator of it, know me, understand me to be the non-doer and ever changeless. Akartaram, avyayam. Akartaram means understand me not to have done anything, understand me to be changeless. Why? Because if the Lord is subject to doership and enjoyership, the Lord is subject to doership and enjoyership. He is also bound like you and me into the cycle of karma. How you are getting caught? When you are doing something, you are having desire. Only an incomplete person can have desire. So then what happens if you say, I did that, gone. You are not God anymore. You created because you had nothing to do, you could not simply sit quiet. You had a problem. So you created. And also you executed it. So you will be subject to the result of your action. Then you are under the laws of karma. That means you have lost your status as God. You are not God anymore. That is the objection given by the Purva Bakshi. Then Shankaracharia says, no, it is not like that. Akartaram. So to clear this problem, he says, don't jump to conclusions about God. It looks like I created, but I did nothing. It is like telling, the sun is telling, I make the lotus bloom. But understand, I did not make the lotus bloom. So in our everyday language, what we say, how did the lotus bloom? The sunflower, how did the sunflower bloom? Because of the sun. The sun came and the sunflower bloomed. Who is to blame? The sun is to blame. If the sunflower blooming is a problem. If the sunflower blooming is not a problem, who is to be thanked? The Lord Sun has to be thanked because the sunflower bloomed because of the sun. Whatever, depending on your attitude. So now, either if you if you consider this creation as a good karma, the Lord will enjoy the result of good karma, punyam. Then he will be subject to birth and death. So he says, no, akartaram, avyayam, no me to be the non-doer and no me to be always the same. Avyayam means indestructible. Changeless, avyayam, changeless, always remaining the same. It is something like, this is what to be understood. He is going to explain how it is. So he is explaining, so two concepts are told here. I created the fourfold system. Still, in spite of creating that, I have not created anything. I am not subject to the result of action, even though I may have appeared to have done the job of creation. I am not affected by this action, because I am without sense of doership. I don't have ahankara. So the Shankara Bhashyam on this is very beautiful. We will go through that and come back to the caste system. Though according to the usage current in the sphere of Maya means, I am the author of all this work, but absolutely speaking, understand that I am not an agent. For the same reason, know that I am immutable and I am not subject to the limitations of the empirical reality. How in the language of the sphere of Maya is something like this. The explanation is something. Let us say the king is very fond of acting in drama. So he entered the drama and took the role of a beggar. When you say, God, you took the role of a beggar, you lost your kingdom. Now you are not a king anymore. If you tell the king, he will give you a slap and say, shut up. What do you mean? I am acting in drama. So as long as I am acting in drama, I am the beggar. While being the beggar, I am not limited by the nature of the beggar. But the story of the real beggar in the street is different. This fellow is really beggar. He might probably act as a king in the drama, but he will never become king in real life. So the Lord, when he says, I created, it is in the language of the Maya, means it is for the sake of, verbal communication. Who did all this? The Lord did. But this action, does it limit the Lord? It does not limit the Lord, because he creates from his own Maya. He is going to explain how I create, at the same time I am not bound by it. Just like how the king plays the role of the beggar in the drama, but he is not limited by the beggar role, because he knows he is not the beggar. He does not own the quality of the beggar on himself. He knows that what he is as something that is not limited by the beggar, and it is only a play. They say Leela, God's Leela, God's play. This whole universe is the play of the Lord. They say no. For him it is like play, and he is not limited by that. He is like acting in his own drama, like that, and he is not limited by that. So that is right. How it is possible? We will go to the next. So this is there for us not to assume sense of doership and bringing the concept of freedom from action. So what is the topic of this chapter? Jnana Dharma Sannyasa. Freedom from renunciation from action. Freedom from action through knowledge. See, I am doing, still I am not bound by the action. He is setting the premise. I only made the 4 varnas and I did everything, but still I am not bound by any of these things. I am not a doer and I am imperishable and I am changeless. Now the one who understands this understands the secret of freedom from action. Comes next. So before we go further into that freedom from action concept, I will elucidate a little bit about this Varna system, which is a very highly misunderstood concept, and since we are new to the Vedic Dharma, we have to understand it in a right perspective. Now, the scripture says, not only, this is Smriti, So when something is told in Smriti, in a written, composed scripture, we need to check it up with Shruti, with the Veda. What Veda says? Brahmanosya mukhamāsīd āhorājanyakritah. In Purusha Suktam, there is a text called Purusha Suktam. The verses on the Sukta means it is like a description of the cosmic person, called Purusha Sukta. Translation is available in the internet. It's a very, very famous hymn from Yajurveda. Purusha Suktam, it says, from the mouth of the cosmic person, first he came from the cosmic egg, it's called Hiranyagarbha, the golden womb. From there the cosmic person came, and from his mouth came the Brahmanas, Mukha, and from the shoulders came the Kshatriyas, the cavalier class, and from his thighs came the Vaishyas, the business class, the entrepreneurs, the wealth creators, and from the feet came the Shudras. So in our own body also, the most sattvic part is this, and more rajasic part is this because it is associated with action, and the tamasic part is this, the feet from downward. This is the apana. So this is the tamasic part, this is the rajasic part, this is the sattvic part. Knowledge, action, support. Tamas always gives support. It gives stability and support. Now tamas should be in its own place. All these three are important in the creation. All the three are important. If you have imagine only a head going around, where the glucose will go to the head. Unless the body does action and eats food, and the pitta system here, all the pitta is very busy digesting the food and pumping blood up there, the brain cannot talk loud, I am the knowledge, I am the highest organ of the body, the brain is talking, the mouth is talking, I express everything, I am the repository of knowledge, everybody is below me, it's correct, everybody is below you, everybody is serving you, but you are also serving everybody. Suppose, then the stomach says, okay, I'm going on fasting for 2 days, Shivaratri. And what happens to knowledge? The brain starts shutting down. 3 days, 4 days, 5 days, no food, the brain starts giving command, eat. Because if the fellow doesn't, the Kshatriya is not doing his work, the hands and shoulders are not supporting and making things okay, the brain cannot talk. So the job of the Rajas is to protect Sattva. That is why we should eat in a way that will help us to develop and nourish the brain, nourish the knowledge as well. Not eat in a way or use the knowledge for eating. You see, some people eat to live, some people live to eat. So if you are living to eat, that means the knowledge is serving the purpose of the lower body. So the tamasic person, the whole brain is working only to satisfy the urges and the instincts of the body. But a sattvic person, the whole body is serving to develop knowledge. So that is why a Brahmana is supposed to be urdhvaretas. His life force is turned upwards. A Shudra is supposed to be adhoretas. His life force is turned downwards. So a person who is born as a Brahmana, if a person wants to be devoted to his birth as a Brahmana, should be always devoted to keeping the prana upwards. The orientation of the mind should be, it must be urdhvaretas. And the whole lifestyle of a Brahmin is designed to keep your prana upward in every aspect of life. It's like this. Now, can a person choose what caste? Okay, Brahmana is very nice, everybody respects a Brahmin. I will choose to be a Brahmin. You cannot choose. You are born as one of these. Now, there are two aspects. Chaturvarnyam maya srishtam. I have created the 4 classes of beings. That means, is God created only in India? In human beings. All the human beings are created according to the 4 classes only. There are only these 4 divisions. No higher, no lower. Chaturvarnameva, chatureva varnam. 4 alone. The divisions of human beings is only according to this 4. No matter where you go in any society, you will see this 4. If you really look, these 4 temperaments are the skeleton of every society. Whether you understand, whether it is working like that or not. Now, what is this Varna Dharma? That means it is a certain order with which the humans are born in different proportions. Now this is a certain order that is. So what is our job? Is to understand and see how this order works and live according to this order. That is the whole point. So the respecting the Varna system means learning to live according to this order. What if you don't live according to this order? What will happen? Life becomes difficult, nothing else. We are digging our own grave, our own life becomes difficult. Now, is it unique only to India? No, it is common for all humanity. Then why it is not practiced anywhere? Do you think it is practiced in India? No, almost not. It is only for namesake. The people don't live according to the way they are supposed to live. A Brahmana is not supposed to work for the sake of for the sake of some commercial purpose. Brahmana is supposed to specialize in different fields of knowledge and disseminate knowledge, live an austere, simple life. Which means he is not supposed to cross the sea. Like that, there are so many rules according to the different times and places. And he is not supposed to hoard a lot of wealth. In the sense, more the wealth comes, he is like an NGO. The wealth comes, the wealth goes. He doesn't keep the wealth, and he should not get a self-definition based on how much wealth he has. Not do very hard physical work, but he must be devoted to more study, knowledge, austerities and things like this. But what the Brahmana is doing, he is very happy getting a job in Silicon Valley and working for all and straining the brain, living a way of life that is highly dissipating, and it goes for 2-3 generations. He forgot his Gayatri mantra, he forgot the Vedas, he forgot everything. He was very busy enjoying the different peanuts thrown by the British, which is continuing to this day. Now the peanuts are thrown by so many others and he is enjoying that. And he is not a Brahmana anymore. When the Brahmana is gone, what happened? It is like your head has a virus. So the society's Brahmana became corrupted. It's like a virus in your CPU. Once the virus is there in the CPU, none of the other programs work properly. So there is a huge confusion. Now, when we don't respect the order and live according to that, we are the ones who are the losers. We are facing the consequence. Okay, this is adharma. So now, how to respect? Now this is something. It is like going back to the laws of the body. For example, culturally, you may have a lot of practices. Each place has certain cultural advantages and disadvantages. For example, in the Indian, our way of upbringing, cow's milk is very important. So we have a sentiment about cow and the cow's milk. We say cow's milk is pure. Is the same thing applicable on commercial milk available in the Western Europe? Probably at least in Romania, cows are grazing, still. In Western Europe and America, the same law does. The cow's milk is not pure anymore. Cow's milk is full of toxins and this and that and chemicals. Now the same purity concept with which we have that cow's milk does not apply here. So Dharma is specific to place, the context and the people who are following it. Now, if I want to understand Dharma, this living according to Dharma means I have to be alert to see how things are. Dharma is there. But when we are living in a society that is highly driven by adharma, it is like, you are living in a corrupt society. When the corruption is everywhere, it takes a lot of time to discover what is the real rule. Let us take, for example, a child that grows in a family that is devoted for begging and stealing, and who is living in a dungeon in one little house in somewhere in an abandoned building, 10 kids, and they are getting more and more kids only for making them beg to get more money. They send the kids to London, they send the kids to Paris, they all beg there and bring money, they steal, they pickpocket. They are trained only for this. Now the kid, as they grow up, are they aware of the Dharma? So what people do, these NGOs, they take the kids away, they isolate them, a few of them, they give them education, they show them how the society functions, what are the norms, and how it is more easy, and give them make them realize there is something called dignity, there is something called being independent and respectable citizen, and what are the advantages that come with that. Depending on how much adharma the child is exposed, so much time it will take for the child to even recognize dharma. Forget following. To recognize that there is this dharma, You take the situation of this child who has absolutely no ethics. His whole ethical framework is twisted. He is wondering, when I ask money, why the people do not give. So his definition of good person and a bad person, whoever gives him more money on the road is good person. Whoever does not give him money is a bad person. Because my mom is struggling so much and she has to bring us all up and beats me up. So because this fellow does not give me money, I am getting beaten. And his whole sense of dharma, he develops a twisted sense of dharma, and it will take a very long time for the child to discover what is common sense dharma which we all take for granted. Right? So now our society currently is like this regarding the classification of people. Why this classification of people was there as a principle of creation in the Lord's creation? This classification of people was the governing principle. He created people according to this norm. For what? To ensure, and gave the rules also, gave the Dharma Shastra and everything, the Veda and everything, in order to preserve the stability of the society and the prosperity, so that the human beings can prosper. Human beings can prosper means not my devotee should prosper, the one who is somebody else's devotee should suffer. No. When the Lord says prosperity, He is looking for the whole creation. Every little person in any nook and corner of the world, the whole humanity should prosper. The whole humanity prospers. It's an ecosystem. When humanity prospers, the gods prosper, and the gods prosper, the humanity prospers. And the human being is capable of taking the whole planet's consciousness to another level, which benefits also the animals and the plants. This capacity is there for the human being. So the entire humanity should prosper. So the Lord created the humanity with a certain socialistic system. So the real socialist system where you have equitable distribution of wealth and where there is no competition but healthy growth. It is like a non-competitive society. Competition in the sense, there will be competition within one's own dharma. The competition is who is better in performing one's duty. Am I doing the job better or you are doing the job better? But not competition as a necessity for survival. If I don't sit on your head, I cannot survive. That is unhealthy competition. So that is not what the dharma is about. So the Varnashrama dharma also gives scope for competition. But it is more like it is a mutual competition in relationship with a standard. This is the standard, and we both compete to achieve the benchmark. All of us compete to achieve the benchmark. That is another kind of a competition that helps in one's own growth. So the Varna system is a dharma that ensures all-round prosperity and stability of the human society. Now, we have absolutely no clue about this. Right? The current society has absolutely no clue about it. So is it a reason that we must dump the whole dharma system, this Varnashrama dharma, or we should try to discover it and try to see how much I can live according to my dharma? This is the dharma. In this, where do I stand? And how I can live according to this dharma? This is the question. Now, when the whole society is adharmic, it will be very difficult to live according to dharma. That is true. But living according to dharma is necessary for peace of mind. The moment you compromise your dharma, you lose your peace of mind. That is why you have people who are cursing every day in their work and then trying to have a holiday, and they are trying to open all possibilities to make sure that they can have an early retirement so that they can enjoy it. Almost nobody likes their work. It is like they curse themselves doing the work, and somehow it is survival. So this working for survival. I heard about in the West there are men who are 77 years old, 80 years old. They are still working. Now, if somebody loves their work and works, it's okay. But I have seen people, 65, 70 years old person, very insecure. He's a top executive. He says, if I don't work hard and push myself, I cannot survive in the market. And if I cannot survive, how I will maintain my house, how I will maintain my 5 cars and swimming pool, and how I will maintain my lifestyle. He has a high maintenance woman has his partner. He has to maintain her. She is also working and all that. But this continuous struggle, 65, 70-year-old man has absolutely no time to sit and meditate for 20 minutes to contemplate on what am I here for. He has no time for that. This is survival. This is why this happens. And when a person lives like this, can he be happy? Can that person be happy? And if the person is not fundamentally secure and happy, how that person can contribute to the welfare of the society? So everybody is like a forest of wild animals, grabbing. We are like a society of hyenas. We are trying to take each one's, I'll take my share of the flesh. It's something like this. A consumerist society, the grabbing society. Everybody wants to grab because we have not understood Varnashrama Dharma. Ashrama, forget, actually it's Varna Dharma, the Dharma of the 4 Varnas when we understand. And when we understand what it is, we can learn to be sensitive to the presence of the Varna Dharma in our lives. There is the presence of this Varna Dharma in our lives. So when we are in a position to influence somebody, we have this Dharma in the mind. When we are in a position to give an advice to a kid, we are in a position to help a person make decision according to what is appropriate, what is according to them. When we make decisions for ourselves to begin with, when we make decisions for ourselves, and if we are sensitive to the Varna Dharma, we can make a decision that is useful for our growth instead of a decision that we will regret later. So the Varna system is something to be understood. How do you understand? When you see by understanding the Guna Karma Vibhagasaha. Guna Karma. Guna, it is not, somebody is Brahmana by quality. But Kshatriya, Vaishya or Sudra by action. This is another wrong theory that is going on now. What they say is Guna and Karma, qualities and activities. Okay. Now it is and. So if a person belongs to one class, he belongs to that class because of his qualities and actions. So it is not that a person is born as a cavalier but is working as a Brahmana, as a priest. Then he becomes a quality-based Kshatriya and action-based Brahmana. Or a person is a born Shudra. Okay, he is a tamasic person, but he is the head of the government, he is the president. Now, this person, Shudra, becoming a president. That means what? You will say, he is a Guna Shudra and a Karma Kshatriya. It's not like that. One is Guna, that, and Karma, that. So, the Varna Dharma means a person, if he understands the qualities are given. So, when the qualities are given, one should do the actions only according to the quality. If a person is a Shudra by quality, that person must not be governing anything. That person is supposed, he may be a leader among his own Shudras, and if the person has some extra leadership quality, he can be the leader. For example, a person is fundamentally a laborer. All the Shudras are laborers. This person can be a labor leader, can represent their interests and talk for them, with a little bit of shining qualities. But still he is a Shudra. A Shudra must do only service. The Shudra must not make decisions for the society. And the Brahmana should not listen to the Shudra. The Shudra should listen to the Brahmana. Now, it is not caste. It is not caste system. It is the Dharma. So, when I understand how it is, it means, if we use it in the Western language, it comes like this. A person who is highly self-controlled, very serene and very austere, devoted to the welfare of the world, absolutely selfless, and whose only concern is what is the truth, what is knowledge. His only job is to be clear in the head and to communicate and transmit that clarity to the rest of the society. This is his only job. Clarity regarding spiritual things, clarity regarding any field, but spirituality is the basis. If you take mathematics, for example, the numerical system and calculus was given by Bhaskara. There was a mathematician called Bhaskara. He gave calculus. The number 0 was given by, a definition of 0 was given by Aryabhatta in his treatise called Aryabhattiyam. The 0 comes from India, we know all this. Chess was invented by a Brahmana. So all the most important inventions, you have this Pythagoras theorem, this isosceles, I don't know, right triangle, whatever, the sum of the triangle. So it is called Bodhayana Sulva Sutra, which is used for construction of altars for the sake of making yajna. And this concept is like the sum of the triangles of both the sides of one triangle, the squares of the sides of one triangle equals the square of the side of the third triangle. It is used in building construction and it is used in the construction of Yajna Kunda. It's called Bodhayana Sulva Sutra and it is given by a Brahmin. So if you see, they have not only done just Veda chanting mantras, so they have dominated every sphere of knowledge. Ayurveda, Charaka, the first surgeon, microsurgery and plastic surgery was done by Shushruta. Shushruta Samhita, you can download it from the internet. It talks very elaborately about surgical procedures, Ayurvedic text. Charaka Samhita, so Charaka, Shushruta, they were all Brahmins and they were medicine men. So if you look at the Brahmana's job is to be devoted to a branch of knowledge while being grounded in the spiritual reality of oneself. Every one of them has studied their own Veda, does Gayatri Japa, knows the meaning of the mantras that they are doing, and which means I and the Lord are one. All this universe is one. I am the absolute truth in which the whole universe is based. This knowledge is fundamental basis which you are taught to repeat as a child. When you are given, if you are born in a Brahmin family, you are given an initiation in Gayatri Mantra. The meaning of the Gayatri Mantra is Om, means the totality. Om is a word that represents the beginning, middle and the end. That which is the beginning, middle and the end, that which is the totality, is the manifest world, the subtle world and the causal world. The body, the mind and the ahankara, the body and the mind, the buddhi, the thinking faculty, and the ahankara, the ego principle or what you call as the soul. It is that which is all these three. Okay? That light which is effulgent and worshipful, that makes all these three shine and which makes all the worlds shine. May that light, which abides in everybody's heart and sustains the life, may that light of consciousness direct my thinking and my actions. Not mine. May that light of consciousness direct our thinking and actions. So when a Brahmana does Gayatri Mantra, he does for the whole society, not only for him. The prayer itself, when you are a child, when you are given initiation, the first prayer that you are taught is to pray for the whole humanity, not for yourself. So, Dhyo yonaha prachodayat. May you illumine our thinking and our actions. Yodeva savita asmakam dhyo dharmadi gocharaha. That supreme light which guides our thinking and actions. I invoke its effulgence. May it may it illumine our intellect. May it illumine our thinking. This is the prayer. This is supposed to be done 3 times a day. From childhood. Only after you are initiated in Gayatri, you are allowed to go and study under a teacher. So only when you are initiated in this, they do Upanayana, they do a ritual called Upanayana, and they give the mantra and they teach the child how to do the rituals and everything. Then they take the child and leave in the house of the teacher. And the child grows up with the teacher. It's called Gurukula. It is a residential school. So, and till the child learns everything, the child does not see the parents. It lives as the teacher becomes the father and the teacher's wife becomes the mother, and they take care of the child grows up there. So each teacher has a bunch of students working under them. They call Brahmachari, and after studying, the person develops a lot of vairagya. He may become a monk. Otherwise, the person takes a wife and devotes oneself to the sustaining of the family life, which also supports the society, grihastha, householder. And then, once they have done their duty, they have created children to carry forward the tradition. Then they renounce their life and go to the forest and devote themselves for austerities. And after that, the person, the man, when the right maturity comes, the man becomes a monk. This is the stage of life. And the way of life, what stage, what should be done, what kind of different mantras and the different rituals specific for each caste is given. A Brahmana is not supposed to do a ritual that is meant for power and wealth, which is a prescribed ritual for the kings. Rajasuya Yajna. The Rajasuya Yajna, a king is supposed to do, not a Brahmin. A Brahmin can go and officiate that ritual for a king, but he cannot do for himself. Because it is not relevant for a Brahmin. It is not relevant to the purpose. So this is the Varna system. Now, when you understand what is the profundity behind this. So when a person lives like this, a Brahmana, who is devoted to knowledge, austerity and self-discipline, and who is driven by a selfless spirit because of the power of knowledge, if you really understand what is what, you cannot be selfish. Any person with a very mature understanding, and the person is available for the understanding, emotionally the person is available for the understanding, can the person be selfish and exploited? Cannot. The moment, that is why, even a thief, you pick up a goon from the street and tell him, you are a thief and you are a goon in the public. Will he be comfortable with that? He will not be comfortable. Even the worst criminal will not be comfortable being called as a criminal in public, because being a criminal is not okay. Why he is a criminal? The knowledge that I should not be a criminal is not available. The moment you make him conscious you are a criminal, he is not comfortable. That is Dharma. Similarly, a Brahmana is a person in whom the knowledge shines without any obstruction, supposed to shine. Okay? That person is a Brahmana. So, when it is shining without any obstruction, that person must give the instruction. That person must be the policy maker for the society. So, that is the person who advises the king. The advisor, the minister who advises the king is always a Brahmin. He is not Kshatriya. Because the Kshatriya is very Rajasi, is a passionate person. He wants to get things done. So he, in the haste to get things done, he may make some mistakes. If you, but they are constantly advised by the Brahmin. If you want to see excellent Kshatriya, there is a movie called Chhatrapati Shivaji. Okay, it's a fantastic movie to understand how the Kshatriyas were devoted to Dharma. You watch this movie. Chhatrapati Shivaji. It is a Marathi movie. The language is Maharashtra, Marathi language. Watch this movie. He's going for a war against a Muslim king. Fantastic scene, the Muslim king tries to kill him by a dharmic, clever plot. But somehow he escapes that and he kills that fellow. And he comes out. Under that Muslim king, one Brahmin is serving him as his advisor and general. He also knows warfare. So he takes the sword and comes to attack Shivaji, this emperor Shivaji, when he is trying to escape. And he fights with him and he stops him. He said, Panth means Brahman. Hey Brahmin, I don't want to kill you. You just go now, I will leave you. I will not kill you. Don't fight with me. But still he tries. He only defends himself, does not kill him, because you are not supposed to kill a Brahmin. And he attacks him. 3 times he defends himself. He says, now you have attacked me 3 times. According to the law, according to the Dharma, even if a Brahmin comes to attack you, after 3 times you are allowed to kill the person if the person is bent on killing you for saving your life. So now I am entitled to kill you, it is Dharma. And then he still comes to attack and he kills him. Subhab Singh, the full how they operate in the Dharma is driving the mind all the time. It is like a Brahmin is respected for what he is, but it is not absolute. It is also governed under a bigger fundamental law. This Varna Dharma is within the sphere of common sense Dharma. This Varna Dharma is not opposed to common sense Dharma. We have innumerable instances in our history where the Varna system is according to the common sense. Where the Varna system goes against the common sense prevails, not the Varna system. If you understand Pramana concept, if you go back to the Pramana concept, the same is applicable for Dharma also, not only for Vedanta. When the Dharma Shastra, when the scripture on Dharma tells you this is to be done, provided it has a use for me or for the society. It has a tangible use. It is not against common sense. I cannot arrive at that rule only by common sense. I cannot arrive at the rule only by common sense. It is not opposed to common sense, plus it is useful. So the moment it is contradicting my common sense in all possible ways, common sense prevails, not the scriptural. So that is why it is not a dogma. Dharma, knowledge of dharma is not dogma. So Varna system is a knowledge of dharma that is inherent in the human society and in the collective human psyche, which is to be discovered and exploited for our own benefit. Exploited means discovered and used. We should live according to that for our own benefit. It is not a dogma. This is what I want to convey. It's a very, very sophisticated system which is to be understood. That is why he says, what is the right action to be known? What is wrong action to be known? What is non-action is to be known. So it requires deliberate thinking and systematic approach to understand what is right action and what is not right action in the context of the Varna Dharma. Okay? So everywhere you see caste system, that is not what scriptures are talking about. Varna not equal to caste. Please write it down. Varna equal to Varna. Varna means only Varna. Varna means classification of society based on qualities and the actions that go with those qualities. So actions are to be done. Not the actions must not go against the qualities. The actions go always along with the qualities. So that is how the people are classified. Okay. So you have a person who is very lazy, who doesn't care for anything. My ego is important. My comfort is important. As much as possible, I will. Because this is important, I must have a lot of wealth. I must have all the resources with me. Possessive. Now this person is made the in charge of the finance of a country. What will happen? You are living in a country where this is happening. I am also not. So anywhere what we see, it is the Vaishya, the one who wants to make wealth, he is deciding the policy. If you saw United States of America, if you see there, the Vaishyas, the bankers are deciding what will happen to the country. It is the Federal Reserve that decides what the president will say. Not the Kshatriya spirit of even if the president is a Kshatriya, he cannot think freely because he is controlled by the Fed. And the Fed is run by Vaishyas, what in India we call as Banya. The same equivalent there, a few families, Rockefeller Foundation, etc. They are running the show because they want to create more and more wealth and have a control over the wealth of the whole world. So all the policies and foreign policy, everything is driven only by this. And they use every little tool possible to keep this financial control in their hands. This is what we see today. Because the Vaishya is driving the social thinking. The knowledge is not driving. The scientist is working under the Vaishya. The company tells him, torture, you torture the data so much that you blow up one little fact. I know one dentist, a friend, who is working for, I think it's Procter & Gamble or GlaxoSmithKline. So this Glaxo, she's working for that. She says, how they force the scientist to somehow find one little advantage of one small chemical in the toothpaste and blow it out of proportion in the advertisement. I remember there was an advertisement for this, Mirinda orange, something like this. Now Mirinda orange, now with real orange juice. And then I went and got the bottle. 0.01% orange juice in the whole thing. And it is told now with real orange juice. But the rest of it all is chemical. No, and sugar. There is no orange juice. It's like one thing floating there, one little piece of orange floating there. It's absolutely irrelevant. But this is called Vaishya Buddhi. So when the Vaishya is always thinking how to make money. And this person, the scientist cannot work under a Vaishya. If a scientist works under a Vaishya, that's what we have. All unnecessary products, consumerism, which is completely counterproductive for health and for well-being and everything. The way we are living right now, which is so-called the society of equal opportunity, is not a society of equal opportunity because it is completely against the spirit of Varna Dharma. So it is a society of live or die, survive, and even at the cost of killing somebody else. This is the society we are living in. It is opposite of Varna Dharma. If the Varna Dharma is the order of the society, we would not have the disharmony that we have now. We would not have one person insecure and starving in this entire world. Not one person. India was a country which never had poverty. The whole world was rushing to India because the social stability was because of the Varna system. Not one person was reported to have died because of hunger. It is all started after the British came. Till the time, even in the Muslim rule, people were not dying out of hunger. They were tortured, a lot of people were killed and all that. But the damage was not so much like how it was when the British came to India. In 1835, Lord Macaulay, he travels all over India to devise a strategy to make India as a source of raw material and a market for the goods of industrialization. He says, I don't know what we can sell for them. This country has so much of plenty and such a high quality of life. Really, we have nothing to sell them unless we break the very backbone of this country. His original document is there. I have a copy with me. If you want, I can show you the PDF. Which is the Xerox of the original document, which is today is there, the original document in the London Museum. This was his report. Based on that, the educational system was created. The missionaries were pumped. The Vedas were, the scholars were sponsored to misinterpret the Vedas. Max Muller was one of the persons who was sponsored by the church to misinterpret Vedas and make the people feel sorry about their own culture. They were cut off from the roots. And so the whole corruption started. And only when the Varna system broke, when the Brahmin got corrupted, then whole India fell. Till the time there was no problem. It is considered as a sinful action even for a Vaishya, even for a businessman, a Vaishya who is a born an entrepreneur. For that person, it is a sinful karma to sell food. He is not supposed to sell cooked food. He can only sell food grains. Cooked food you are only supposed to give free. You are not supposed to sell. The restaurant concept came only in the 20th century in India. In the end of 19th century, in the beginning of 20th century, under the British rule, the concept of restaurant came. Till the time there is no restaurant. You can knock in a house, you will get food. No matter where you are, in the middle of the forest. If they are having only one plate food, they will give you one morsel out of that and then eat the rest. They cannot say no. Atiti Devo Bhava is an injunction in the Veda. So the Varna system works like this. So this is the way we have to understand Varna system. Because it is a dharma which is to be understood and used for our own advantage. And it is universal, it is not unique to India. In India, it doesn't take much effort to find what is your Varna. But in the West, you have to break your head a little more, but then you can find. If you think a little bit astrology, introspection, you go through some retrospection and regression through your life and see what all you have done, make some notes, analyze, watch yourself over different situations, you can find your Varna. Then once you have found your Varna, you can decide how to live according to your Varna and you can plan and do it. It's not a big deal. That is why when we named this Vedic Dharma, because only Vedanta will not work. Unless you live a life according to Dharma, Vedanta will not enter your head. That is why the Varna system and the Dharma was given first. And then one who lives according to the Dharma will be able to wake up to the value of moksha as something that is the only thing worthy of pursuing. To recognize moksha as the only worthy purushartha, you have to live a life according to your Dharma. Even a Shudra is entitled for moksha. A Shudra, the lowest category, the tamasic person, even that person can be given the teaching that you are Brahman. Only thing, the person is not taught Upanishads, the person is taught Ramayana, Mahabharata. Bhagavad Gita is meant for the Shudra also. Bhagavad Gita is not only for the Brahman. Because Bhagavad Gita comes as part of what is called as Puran, Itihasa, Mahabharata, which is a truth packaged within a story. So, in a story, all the build-up comes. They go to the villages, in the villages during the festival times. For example, tomorrow is Shivaratri. In the villages, they will get Shiva Purana. Some person will come and he will be giving discourse on the story of Shiva and everything. Then Shiva did this, he went there, he talked, so he was carrying the body of Parvati and he was dancing in the heaven, all this will be there. And in the middle, there will be some story. There will be some philosophy woven into the story. Tomorrow we will watch a movie called Trivalayadu. Tomorrow during the night, puja and everything, we will watch one movie, at least one, where the story of the different interventions of Lord Shiva to his devotees. So this is a story told for the common man, okay? It's very funny. But within the story, you will see how the philosophy and Dharma and Vedanta is woven into the story. It's fantastic to see that every word comes from, and it is only a movie, okay? It is a diluted Purana. It is not even the actual Purana as it is given in a discourse. So the Shudras learn from the Puranas. Every Shudra in India, a cobbler in the middle of the street, you go there in the market, pick up one cobbler, just make sure he's a Hindu. Okay? You pick up a Hindu cobbler, before starting he will do like this and then start. You ask him, just pick up, where is God? God is everywhere, he is in you, he is in me, God is everywhere. Cobbler will tell you. Everywhere. I am God, you are God, everybody is God. This is India. Why this is there? Because the knowledge is not rejected for anybody. Knowledge is common for everybody. Because the Brahmin has to do some rituals, the ritual requires a special anatomy, a subtle anatomy. Because of that, the person has to do some mantras and other practices. The Shudra is doing physical labor. The fellow has to clean the house, clean the field and do everything. Sow the seeds, a lot of heavy, hard physical work. And that person cannot be busy chanting mantras. It is completely opposite to the work. It is something like, for example, depending on the work, we do a certain kind of, for example, when we shave, self-shaving, the rule is, when I do a self-shaving, that day I cannot do puja in the altar. It is a rule. We don't follow here, but actually in India it's a rule. If I do shaving, I cannot go to the temple or go to the altar that day. Because there is a certain level of subtle impurity in my system on the day when I do shaving and cut my hair. I can go only in the next day. This is a rule. Now this is like this rule applies for a Brahmin also, not only for a Shudra. So similarly, depending on the way of life, the different mantras, the different karmas and the different everything, the whole spiritual package, everybody's life, no matter what is your varna, your life fundamental platform is spirituality. There is a spiritual package given for a person according to their way of life. This does not, Varna system does not mean spirituality is denied for the Shudra and it is the sole property of the Brahmin, which is wrong. This is how the British interpreted to divide us, to rule us, and that's what you have been reading everywhere. You have special representations with millions of dollars where they do very focused study and academic publications completely focused on undermining Hinduism. You think I'm paranoid. I'm not a paranoid. You please read a book, Invading the Sacred. There is a book called Invading the Sacred, where they tell you they have done a proper research. If you want, I can send you the PDF. I have a PDF. Okay. So, proper research to tell you how systematic research is being done and papers published and the concepts are injected into the educational system to give a very decrying image about the religious or the spiritual life, especially in India. If you see everywhere, every religion or every spiritual school is represented by its own people. The only spiritual school that is not represented by its own people, but every foreigner talks about it, is Hinduism. You just go at random to a library, how many famous books, the famous books about Hinduism, the bestsellers, how many of them are written by a Hindu scholar who lives alive? You cannot count. Nothing is there. In the other side, if you pick up how many are done by British academicians and American academicians, especially American, you see hundreds of books. And all of them will talk. They will talk, I cannot even talk what they have written. There is one by Wendy, one woman called Wendy Doniger. She has written one book called The Hindus, Alternative History. She has written one book. It was a bestseller 5 years back in US. Now that comes into the academics, that comes into the schools. Then we are, ancient Vedic Indians were the Aryans who invaded India in 3000 BC. The Vedic people worship the forces of nature. You read world history? Vedic people, you just go world history, Hinduism history. This is what you will read. We are worshipping nature. Like rain, sun, they portray us like some tribals from Africa. I am sorry to declare the tribals are much better than the monotheistic religions, but still. They like we are the heathens, we have to go and civilize India. It was all necessary for them to push their cause in India. So it started like that, now it has become a fashion. So you cannot understand these profound concepts if you read a Western author. Why I go into this so much? Because so much damage was done to this one word Varna. That was the key point in dividing the spirit of India, the Bharat, India, which is not just India. This is if you make so much damage was done that the person who framed the Indian constitution, on Ambedkar, he converted to Buddhism. He burnt our Dharma Shastra, Manu Dharma Shastra. They publicly did a demonstration to burn Manu Dharma Shastra. It is against humanity. It divides humanity based on the caste system. It is giving Brahmin too much of importance. It was written in a time when the Brahmin was a Brahmin, but it is showing you certain principles. So much of indoctrination and brainwashing was done by British education. Our own people, they burn our own Shastra. No, it's a very sad thing. So it is the why I went into this so much is because the concept has been misinterpreted so badly, and we have taken so much far away from what is Dharma, the human classification according to Dharma, Varna Dharma. So it is like educating a child who grew up in a criminal family, in a criminal society, how difficult it is to make the child recognize there is something called ethics, there is something called values. To make not stealing is a value, and it is not just a value, it is something very useful and is good for you. To make the child understand that it's not a joke. I have not done even one bit of that effort required. So the corruption in our mind regarding the Varna system is so much. So 100 days of talking about it is not enough. So that's why I went a little detail into this. So Chaturvarnyam Maya system means it comes from the universal source of everything. The four classes of beings has its grounding in the way things are. So it is to be understood, and if it is understood and exploited, we can live a life of prosperity, mutual prosperity, not just one person living at the cost of others. So understanding Varna system comes from Ishvara is one part. And because Ishvara created, he is not a victim of karma and result of karma. How the Lord is not limited by karma, even though he is doing this beautiful work of sustaining this whole universe, what work you and I do is nothing when compared to what the Lord does. In spite of doing so much work, the Lord is not bound by work. If we understand that principle of how to work in a way the work does not bind you, that is the key to freedom from karma. Which is not this freedom from karma is neither sitting quiet nor is it doing something. It is neither doing nor not doing. It is an understanding which backs our actions. That is the teaching in this chapter. We will go into how it is done and what is the secret of karma, akarma, vikarma, all that comes later. We will see in the next class. Om Swasti Prajabhya Paripalayanta Nyayena Margena Mahim Mahishaha Go Brahmanebhya Shubhamastu Nityam Loka Samasta Sukhino Bhavantu Khale Varshatu Varjanyah Prithvi Sasyashalini Deshoyam Kshobarahita Brahmana Santu Nirbhayaha Om Sarvesham Swastir Bhavatu Sarvesham Shantir Bhavatu Sarvesham Purnam Bhavatu Sarvesham Mangalam Bhavatu Sarve Bhavantu Sukhinah Sarve Santu Niramaya Sarve Bhadrani Pashyantu Ma Kaschit Dukhabhag Bhaved Om Asato Ma Satgamaya Tamaso Ma Jyotirgamaya Mrityorma Mritam Gamaya Om Shanti 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 Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vasishyate Om Shanti 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 Om Tat Sat.